Howdy. Yeah. Welcome to the veritable edge of Western civilization, Venice Beach, California. I am your host, D.A.English. And I'm just trying to give an update as to, for all those folks that have been kind of following what's been happening with me. I just came from the doctors that UCLA Harbor. These are the people that on September 19th, 2019 diagnosed me with squamous cell carcinoma of the tonsil, and I did chemoradiation treatment just to catch people up starting in February and finished the treatments in March. And then on June 10th, I was declared cancer-free. And I'm happy to report that I'm still cancer-free. And this morning they did it. They stuck a friggin' camera up my nose. And for all you folks that are going through that, taking a COVID test, it's very similar to that, except it's not just a swab. So everything looks good. Nothing new. They're monitoring. We're in monitoring phase. They just scheduled another appointment for another 3 months from now. So 1/12/2021. So that's 1/1/22021. And then the oncologist, I just found out today, the oncologist appointment won't be until the end of March, the March 24th. And the reason is they feel really confident about my recovery, and so that we're at a 6 months monitoring with the oncologist. So that's really good. We're gonna get a helicopter coming through here for a second. So what else is happening besides my good health? I should tell you, I feel really good. I feel like, if you compare this video to the ones that I did like 6 months ago, you can tell I'm a lot healthier. I made the mistake of looking at the one I shot just before, like 2 days before I started the treatment in February, and I got a sense of how sick I was, and when you're in it, it's hard to really gauge where you're at, because I felt pretty strong at the time, but if you were to go back and watch even a minute of that, it was painful for me to watch, and I'm the guy, But anyway, what's happening now in my universe? Some really wonderful things. I've made some investments in myself, and specifically, I started learning to fly. And it's funny. 6-8 months ago, I couldn't see past April, and And somebody said, well, you're living your bonus life now, and that's exactly what it feels like. It definitely has felt to me like the cancer was just the beginning of something. It was like an invitation to an initiation. And as I've said before, I'll say it again, I recognize that I recognize that everybody is on their own shamanic journey, and this is mine. And I embrace that, and I have embraced that. And one of the first things that I did when I found out that I was, dealing with this cancer thing, is I made an effort to go as deep as I could into my psyche, and I'm still on that journey, and I have to say that it is certainly, it's been a wholesale house cleaning, I'll put it that way. And part of that has led to me following through on my first dream, which was to fly. It's so funny because I wrote this book, wrote a book, drew the graphic novel, and then made the graphic novel into a movie called Learning to Fly. And when I did all that, I had kind of accepted the probability that I probably would live my whole life without ever actually learning to fly. And funny how things change around. So here I am actually, learning to fly now. And specifically, I've signed up for a course of instruction at Torrey Pines Glider Port down in La Jolla. Beautiful place, wonderful people. To learn how to fly paragliders, and I've been at it for about 2.5 weeks now, and I've had about a dozen flights. At least half of them are solo, and in case you are wondering what paragliding is, it's in this case it's stepping off of a perfectly good cliff with a rather elaborate piece of fabric over your head that is very much it's just a large kite, and until you fly it, then it's just magic. And this is part of in answer to what came to me during this shamanic journey. I've had some visions of things, and I, without getting too deep into it, I discovered those archaeological sites in Big Sur. I worked with my friend Rory McQuestion, the geobiologist, and we identified some major subtle energy, earth energy lines that cross through that archaeological site that I discovered, and create what I call a sacred corridor of two lines that go from Monterey and Big Sur all the way across the country to Kitty Hawk in the south and Newport News, Virginia in the north. And the vision I had was that, in the coming centuries, people are going to be making a migration to all the nodal points along that sacred corridor 4 times a year at the solstices and equinoxes to make their manifestation prayer, because at those nodes there are portals that are created around the time of the solstices and equinoxes, that energetic portals that make it easier to communicate between the dimensional planes. And I know that all sounds very mumbo jumbo and funky new agey and everything like that, and I'm not going to get into breaking down the science for you right now, but check out some of my other work. I've written a couple of books on this topic, and made a movie about it and all this. So in my vision, I saw that, as I said, in the coming centuries, people are going to be making pilgrimages 4 times a year to these sites along the sacred corridor. And I envisioned, it's so bizarre, I envisioned like all this traffic of people flying in something that looks a lot like a paraglider, a powered paraglider. And so I figured, let's go see what that is, let's do that. And so the first step is to learn how to paraglide, and then to power paraglide. And so along those lines, I actually just got a professional grade drone that, literally I got it last night. And so I'm going to teach myself how to use that. This is one of those that you have to register with the FAA to use. And it has a mode where it will follow you. So imagine me and my powered paramotor with this drone following me around, and live streaming the process. So it may take a couple of years for me to get to that point, because I want to, now that my eyes have been opened to the realm of possibilities, I see myself, exploring the West Coast. There's places along the West Coast that you can only access using this either serious hiking in. You can't just drive to these places, but there's places where you can paraglide, miles and miles of coastline, inaccessible coastline, that I really look forward to exploring with my embrace of this technology. So that's happening. And for those of you, I'm doing this as a live stream, but I'm also making it as a video to send out to all those folks that donated to my GoFundMe campaign. I realize I haven't done a video in a while, and this is kind of an opportunity to kind of catch up, or catch people up on the latest developments. The short story is, I'm alive and well, and feeling magnificent and healthy, and about to embark, or have already embarked on an incredible adventure. And I will, if you haven't checked it out already, there's a couple of other new developments, things I've been following through on that came to me in my visions and whatnot. I set up a 24-hour live streaming channel called David Stream. It's connected to my regular YouTube channel. If you go to davidalexanderenglish.com or davidstream.com or D.A.English.com or davidae.com, you'll land on my personal website, and at the bottom of that page is an embed of the 24-hour channel. The ultimate goal is to have kind of, it'll be one channel ultimately, where the 24 hours it's all my archived material, like the Enoch movie and all of my movies, of course. But also, I want to be able to do live streaming like this and have it break into the 24-hour channel, and then when I'm done streaming for the day, it goes back to the archive material. So to make this happen, I had to invest in a computer. I actually had my good friend John Riley's son Xander, who we call Z. He and I have kind of partnered up, and it's so wonderful because it's like I feel like James Bond and his Q, you know. Xander is a friggin' brilliant kid. He's just graduated from high school virtually because of COVID last June, and so he spiffed up my website. We have a video. We shot him actually building the computer. It took him less than an hour to build this computer from scratch, you know, from just basic components. And so that's happening. I look at my friend Xander now as Z as my ground control for the streaming, and this is what I envision is using the streaming to foist my ideas on the world. You know, to get my whatever my message is out, and my artwork, and when you go to the site, you'll see, when you go to the live stream, you'll see there's actually 3 screens in one, and 2 of them are slideshows of my paintings, and the third one is the videos and movies and all that. So we'll be expanding that from here on. So what you see is just the beta right now, but it's all up and running. And so I encourage you to subscribe. The van, I bought the van in Chicago in July, drove to the East Coast, closed out my East Coast storage, brought all that stuff there back here and switched it up, and the van made it no problem, but it has some problems, you know what I mean. I got a really good price. I got it for a really good price, a little over $5,000, $5,500. Okay, I paid $5,555, and for the computer I paid $777.77, and for the drone I paid $888.88. So you see a pattern there. I did that because to make a statement, and you know, to set an intention, and recognize that all of this is kind of, at least to me, it's a very sacred thing, and I treat it that way. And don't think I didn't agonize over. I agonized over each one of these purchases, because I recognize that this money that I'm using is in part coming from saving up what people donated, and you know, specifically for the purpose of my well-being, like getting the van. And I got to tell you, the van is like a palace to me. It's a giant blue palace on wheels, you know. I can sleep in it fully spread eagle and still have room left, you know. I can stand up in it, and after, you know, living out of a Volkswagen bus for 10 years, you know, where you have to scrunch down like this all the time, I'm just being able to stand up is epic for me. and it gets great gas mileage. I probably had to put about another $4,000 into it so far, and I probably have another $1,500 to put into it as well. It's I have no complaints. I have nothing to complain about. If you hear me whinging, it's on me. You know. So health is good. Doctors are optimistic. The van is happening. David is flying. And my work is going really well. I have several writing projects and video projects going right now. And you know, there was a couple of years ago, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they said something about some famous dude made a list of the 10 things that to be a man that you had to be able to do, right? Which was, when I heard that, was very challenging, of course. And one of those things that really when we were having this conversation, we all just tripped out on is you should be able to plan an invasion. It's like, what? But you know, when I thought about it, it's like, well, if you're an artist, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to essentially foist your work onto the world. You're trying to introduce your work to the world, which means you're trying to invade the zeitgeist. You know, you're trying to invade the conscious awareness of the population on the planet, right? And hopefully you're trying to positively influence that. At least I am, anyway. And so, you know, having written and published 29 books and 8 albums and 7 movies and all this sort of stuff, I'm still in the position at 63 years old where nobody knows who I am creatively. I mean, you know, it's a handful of people know, but it's not really, the work hasn't really been reaching the wider audience it was designed for, you know, it was created for. And so going forward, that's kind of what I recognize. I'm going to continue to create. I could continue to create, or I could not. The point is, if I died tomorrow, all of my paintings are in storage. What would happen to that work? You know, because whoever would find themselves responsible for that work would have to do the same thing that I'm doing right now, which is to get it to the world. You know, so I'm gonna try to push that. You know, make that happen as much as I can before I leave the world. And not that I'm planning to leave the world anytime soon. But that's what page I'm on, you know, is just, you know, now a big part of my work has to be about getting the work out, you know. So anyway, what else? You know how this thing goes, you know, you think, okay, I got it. You think that you've said everything, and then you turn this thing off, and then it's like, oh, I should have said this and I should have said that, right? So one of the projects that I'm working on is The Metaphysician, and it's a book, but it's also, it seems like it's trying to become something greater than just a book, you know. And so stay tuned to that. You may, if you're on Instagram here, if you scroll through my stuff, you'll see that there's actually pages from that book, and I'll be publishing pages occasionally from that project. And in the future, especially with the live streaming, I hope to, I realize basically everybody is a metaphysician. The term meta means beyond, and physical, as in the physical plane of existence. So beyond the physical plane of existence. And every person originates beyond the physical plane, because we're consciousness, right? And every day we spend a fair amount of we spend at least 8 hours a day out of our bodies. When we go to sleep, when we're in trance, but even in our day, as we're reading and we're watching television, or we're daydreaming, we're collecting our thoughts. We're not in our body, we're not in the physical. We don't exist in the physical, really. We exist in our bodies, but there's not always somebody in the driver's seat. We're off in our minds and our emotions and everything. And when we die, obviously we go beyond. When we go to sleep, we go beyond the physical plane. So everyone is a metaphysician, right? And because we exist beyond the physical plane of existence. And I feel like that point hasn't really been brought home, and a big part of my work is to help promote that understanding as best I can through the work. And so I that's kind of the goal and philosophy behind all this kind of media push, to get to use the live streaming technologies to do more foisting of whatever the universe has given me to understand with regards to the absolute truth of our existence, the true nature of our being, and whatever comes through, whatever feels like the universe wants me to say something about, and I look forward to, I guess the term is teaching, but more like reminding about metaphysics, about our metaphysical nature, our true nature, as infinite and immortal beings. So there was something else that just popped up. Oh, it went. Maybe if I keep talking. So, here we go. So if you're watching this and you wondered, why haven't you seen me or seen some of what I've been doing? Why haven't I seen them on Facebook? Well, on August 21st, if you're not aware, right about noon, Facebook disabled my account, my 13 years on Facebook. They erased from the internet without any explanation or warning, and certainly without any cause on my part. And I went through the process of they have a little widget. You're supposed to send them a picture of your license and verify that you're you and all that. But in case this hasn't happened to you and you don't know anything about it, there is absolutely, if you don't have access to your Facebook account, there is absolutely no way for you to contact Facebook or communicate with them. And they've set it up that way. There's no tech support, there's no phone number, there's no human being, there's not even a fake human being. I suppose you could go to their corporate offices and try to talk to a human being there, you know. And if next time I'm up in the Bay Area, maybe I'll do that. I don't know, is Facebook in the Bay Area? I don't know. I just assume Silicon Valley and everything. And they didn't tell me how long it was going to be. I think, everybody's like, oh, you're in Facebook jail. It usually takes about a month. Well, a month came and went, and I still haven't heard anything from them. I've tried 4 times to go through their widget, and that nothing doing. So I don't know. I take it as the fact that here's the thing. I first became aware of this at 11:55 on August 21st. And when I saw that number, I was like, okay, so there's not a problem here. This is supposed to be happening. And then 3 weeks later, I watched that documentary. If you haven't watched it, it's magnificent. It's the Social Dilemma. It's all about social media networks and platforms, all these platforms from Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all this kind of stuff, and basically how they are all, using our data, and they're in the business of marketing us as a product, and without compensating us for that, And that's when I saw that, it was like, I see. I'm once again part of this unfolding of helping to make these folks become more accountable. Because obviously it isn't right. I mean, I should be able to actually talk to somebody. I should have some kind of recourse. The only reason I don't have any recourse is because they've been able to get away with it. It's their business model is to not have a tech support department. And if it was my company, I guess I would probably do that. If I didn't have to spend, X number of money, dollars, paying people to solve other people's problems, then sure, that makes sense. Financially. But imagine Facebook, if everybody on the planet that has, right now they have a third of the population of the world, 2.6 billion people are on Facebook alone. That's not counting like Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. Okay, so but imagine if every company that trafficked in your personal data, in order for them to do that, they automatically had to pay you a dividend from a share in their company. So everybody that's on Facebook gets 1 share of Facebook. That would do 2 things. 1, you get paid, and 2, you get a vote to see, how these companies conduct themselves, right? I mean, it's only fair. They're selling you, and you should be getting paid for that, right? And imagine like what effect that would have, the dividends that they paid out. What effect that would have in raising the standard of living in the third world, right? It's almost a universal basic. It would provide a universal basic income for a lot of people. So all of that kind of came to me and through me when after this whole thing, I never would have thought all that stuff if I hadn't experienced this. So that's happening. So if you wondered why I'm not on Facebook anymore, I did not disbefriend you. I did not, cut you off. Instead, I most likely had my 13 years worth of content erased. And that's way not good, but that's the universe. So we're just going to go with it. And I got to tell you, I really haven't been missing Facebook. you know? I mean, I miss finding out what's happening with people and everything, but there is life after Facebook, in case you're wondering. And this is what it looks like. That right there. This is what it looks like, you know? Right there. Yeah. Crazy. So, I think that's about all the news that's fit to print right now. Gonna go up to, gonna go for a swim in a minute, and I think I'm gonna go soak up at the hot springs again. I'm feeling kind of sore actually from all this time trying to master, or at least accomplish flying this paraglider, learning how to fly these paragliders, which I gotta tell you, there is nothing like stepping off a perfectly good cliff into the sky, you know, straight up, you know, easily one of the best things I've ever done in my life, easily, you know. And this place where I'm doing it, Torrey Pines Glider Port, at the base of the cliff is Black's Beach, which, if you don't know, is a huge nude beach. So yes, I have leaped off, flown along the cliff, landed on the beach, and gone naked into the ocean several times, at every friggin' opportunity actually. And but then, you know, you have that hike back up with all your gear, 350 foot cliff, you know, but it's all good, and it's all good for you, right? That and Wheaties will keep you going. So for the next couple of weeks, months, that's kind of my focus, is becoming proficient at being able to leap off of perfectly good cliffs and whatnot. And I'll be sharing a lot of content from there in that process. And if you're interested, if you go to my what is it? My personal website or my YouTube channel, you'll see a video that I just posted of a piece of music called Background to the Profound. It's a 37-minute piece from the this album that I haven't released the whole album yet, but the album's called Cerebral Mind Candy. And the title for that came from my good friend Psychedelic Jack, who we scouted Africa, the Africa Rainbow Gathering together back 20 years ago. And he listened to my first, one of the first albums that I did with a synthesizer, and it's the 12 Journeys Underneath. He listened to that and he was like, oh man, this is like Cerebral Mind Candy. I was like, that's a great title for an album. And so it is. Right now I think there's like either 15 or 16 tracks on that album. I haven't released it yet. I'm releasing it right now just by the track. And so I put together a video with intending to just feature the music, and the video is all this footage from the glider port. So enjoy that. I'm pretty proud of it, and you will be amazed at some of the things that you'll see these folks do down there. Like there's this one brother that he's actually literally flying upside down, like inverted, with his feet on the controls. And his name's Giuseppe. You have to see the video to understand. And let me tell you about some of my friends there. Okay, these are some of the best human beings I've ever met on this planet. Just quality of personality, but also just mastery. They're masters of this. You know, I was, you know how you hear about, you know, pilots standing around talking after if they're not flying, they're standing around talking to one another, right? And now I'm in those conversations, and I'm there, and I'm just like a sponge, just soaking it all up, and so it was my first week there, like my third day, and I'm standing there and I'm listening, and it's like I'm trying to pinch myself I realize that I'm not only fulfilling my own dream, but I realize that I'm also fulfilling my father's dream. My father wanted to learn how to fly. I relate this story. One of the earliest photographs of my dad is probably during the Second World War. He was about 14 or 15 years old. He's wearing his older brother's sailor's hat, and he has a model airplane in his hand. And this is before plastic, so this model airplane was made of balsa wood, and you could just tell that he wanted to learn how to fly. He joined the Air Force to learn how to fly. He never did. He got as far as having a private pilot's license, student license, but he never really got, it wasn't very accessible to him. And I felt him in what I'm doing. There are times like last Saturday, I felt him with me, and to be honest, I realized that I may not be the best student. And one of the reasons is because I developed certain habits of taking in information that I've had to unlearn. I'm having to unlearn. And some of those habits were formed from, living and working with my dad. He did his best, and it got me here. And now what I realized on Saturday is that I have a choice, from here on, because I know that I can choose to change it up. I can choose how I process whatever has happened in the past. And the choice is, what do you take forward with you? Where do you go from here? And what do I choose? And what I choose is, as ever, is to be the best version of myself that I could possibly be at all times. And from my personal experience, when I'm on that, I really feel like I'm living my best life. And when I'm even if I'm unsure and insecure in the midst of doing what it is that I've chosen to do, that's part of the process, and that's necessary. You won't always feel confident living your best life by any stretch, but at least you're in the right place, doing the right thing with the right people and the right intention, and you always have the opportunity to let go of anything that's in your way, that's coming from within you. You can make a different choice. We can make different choices. We don't always have to do things the same way we've always done things, or do things because we've always done things this way. We can make different choices. We're spiritually sovereign people. We're spiritually sovereign beings, and it's up to us. If we're not happy, that's on us. What are we doing about it? If we're not happy, what are we doing about it? What can we do about it? Are we doing everything that we can to change that? If not, then what are you going to do, right? And I've spent a fair amount of time this year being very uncomfortable. But I knew that uncomfortability was leading to my continued existence, right? And so that was acceptable. But, I'm not... And so I didn't look at it as misery or suffering. I saw it as a means to an end, you know. And I'm happy to be here right this minute in this magnificent place with the sun on my face and my feet in the ocean, being able to stand up erect and sound like a healthy person. You know, because I thought I'd be dead by now several times. And I think that other cancer survivors understand what I'm talking about, you know. Somebody said the other day, you're living your bonus life, you know, and I think I am. This is my bonus life. And there's, you know, you'd like to think that that's all yummy, but it isn't. I've spent, honestly, most of the summer kind of processing what happened, what led to it, where do I go from here, you know. And there's a lot of real subtleties, subtle aspects of this, things I wasn't able to process when they were happening because I had to stay, you know, I had shit to deal with in the present. And there's a couple things that that have come out of that. One, in the past I was a lot more diplomatic than I probably will be in the future with people. I would give them more time and listen more when I wanted to say or do something else. And I don't have as much tolerance for stupid as I did before, and I'm not apologetic for that. My time is precious, and I live it that way now. One of the things that's happened is I've just become very, 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 very sensitive to energy, and I've had to become very adept at identifying when the energy is coming from me and when it isn't, and then making an assessment as to, you know, what's my involvement going to be from here. So if I seem short or arrogant, or, you know, I'm not making any excuses. I just basically I do not fucking care anymore. I can't afford to care about what most other people think, and I'm okay with that. One of the greatest therapies of my recovery especially from the chemo and radiation, is that experiencing that sense of letting go that comes from just saying fuck. You know, using the word fuck as a sacred word, you know, recognizing it for that, but also going deeper into it in terms of, you know, what are we really saying? What are we really saying when we use that word? You know, there's this. We're trying to mark the moment with a sense of profundity, right? And but often we use it to disconnect, because we recognize that we realize that we need to disconnect from bullshit. You know, we need to call bullshit. And so that's, you know, I don't see my role in the universe as one who calls bullshit. I wouldn't take that on. But if it's in my way, I'm gonna definitely call bullshit. So, for purely selfish reasons, you know, because I have to. I can't play along, you know. I cannot accommodate what I'm not in alignment with, or make excuses, or give any kind of energy to shit that is just fertilizer, you know. It's fertilizer for something else, you know. And so anyway, that's a little bit of what I've been coming to. I apologize to anybody that's texting, because I can't really. Other people can do that. They can just interact with all that stuff. It's distracting from what it is I'm trying to say. For me, I appreciate you leaving it, because right after I get off, I go and I read all those and respond as best I can. But if I'm not responding, it's not because I don't like it. It's because I'm not really reading what you're saying. I can't focus on that. I'm trying to, trying to get it done. Trying to do my part of this process called communication. But I want you to know that I really appreciate you paying any kind of attention to what it is that I'm putting out here. And once again, I'm just very grateful to be here in any capacity, So that said, I'm going to let you go. Get back to your busy. And I will get back to mine, which at this point involves getting nearly naked and wet. Very, very wet. I wonder if I might be able to catch some waves down there. Yeah, let's go this way. Looks like. So, thanks for tuning in. And stay tuned, because there is thankfully plenty more where this came from. Alrighty? Oh, hey, if Rory, if you're seeing this, I am now standing in the node, right? Where I'm standing right now, this is the Venice node, right? So this is the breakwater right here, right? And this is the pipe. You see, there's a pipe right here that goes out to the ocean, drain pipe. If you're standing to the north of it by about 5 feet, you're in the Venice node. So good to know, right? And yummy as ever, of course. It feels very, very yummy here. This is where I come to ground and stand on my head and spend New Year's and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you later. Oh, yeah. Can we do my favorite part? Yes, we can. I just had this little tinge. So they stuck that friggin' camera up my nose this morning. That'll wake you up. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's stick a camera up David's nose. And down his throat. And say, "Ee!" Right? This is me beaming love at you. So there, take that.